Hello, Risk of Rogue here. Today we're gonna see my personal tier list of every white item in Risk of Rain 2. From the best to the worst one, just using this template on Tier Maker. And I will leave the link in the description in case you wanna do your own template and maybe sharing it in the comments. With that said, let's start immediately with the items. We're gonna do the various rarities in other videos. First of all, the little shield F. For me, it's one of the worst possible items unless you're going for a really specific build. So I really don't like it, I avoid it like the plug, and I really don't want to have it in my inventory. Another item that is not that great and will be pretty damn low in a tier list is the banner. The banner is pretty useless for a reason that is pretty much the same on why I don't like the new survivor that has been presented for now on the new DLC, the Seeker. It forces you to stay in the same place. Risk of Rain is a game when you have to run, never stop if you can. This banner, this item literally makes you stay in a small area or a tiny, slightly less small area, whatever you want to call it, if you have more copies of it, to get some attack speed bonuses. It really isn't worth it. Literally. It's not worth it at all. Another item that's gonna be pretty damn low on the tier list is the necklace. It's not that bad because, it's a healing item. Healing is always good on Risk of Rain. The problem is that it forces you to stay on the ground near the enemies you've killed. So it might be good in early game, especially when you don't have much dashes or jumps or whatever and you're just running around. In that case, it's decent. Not gonna lie, but in any other case, you're not gonna be anywhere near the enemies you've defeated, so yeah, pretty useless after a while. Better scrap it, still have some value in that way. Another item that's decently low on the list, but not that much, is the stick. I think it's like a tiny bit more worth than the necklace. Again, in early game, super useful because many survivors don't really have much health, and 25 at the start of the game, it's good. But once you're on the third stage, it already doesn't make sense anymore, and it can be considered just to be scrapped the first time you find a grinder, because it literally doesn't make sense. 25 will not make any difference, especially if you found an infusion that's gonna give you 100 after a while. Literally doesn't make sense to have it after a while. So again, good in early game, better than a necklace because you just get the bonus, you don't have to get nearby any enemy. But yeah, not that good. Now let's go for something really good, just to change a bit of things around. Something that is really good for me, it's the teddy bear. Both this version or the void one that we will see in another video, they are really good because they simply help you survive. It doesn't heal damage, it literally just blocks it. It could block a little damage, and just for this reason, it's one of the best items. Now, obviously, damaged items are also good because, if the enemy is dead, it cannot really attack you. But this thing literally protects you from any kind of damage. Even altars, even just fall damage, literally everything with a certain chance. So just grabbing around 10 of them will help a lot in risking way less during your run. If I find a printer and I have one, I always use them. Another really good item are pretty much most of the attack items. I would say the bleeding from this sword, simply because it's something that can be stacked. on the enemy, and it really helps to melt down stronger enemies. Even if your character doesn't have much damage, as long as it has sufficient attack speed, this thing will melt, literally. It's that good. So yeah, again, as said earlier, if you can block damage, good. If the enemy is dead, it cannot damage you. So this helps a lot. Now, another item that's gonna stay on the low part, it's the bungus. Now, I would like to put the bungus in C, but it's nowhere near as bad as the other items. So I think I will place it like at the tail end of B tier. Like literally at the end. Now, why? That's because on a couple of characters, mainly one, mainly the engineer, it's really good, like incredibly good. But again, this item forces you on a playstyle that is not what you need to win a Risk of Rain. You have to stay still to use it. It could be helpful on certain character, again, engineer for example with the turrets. It could be helpful on certain maps where only the player can go and not any other enemy, as long as it's not a flying one, where you can stop for a while and regenerate health. That's why it's better than the other ones that I've put there until now. But aside from that, it's not that great. But it does have a void version, it can be transformed into a void version that is really damn good. For that reason, it needs to be higher, simply because it literally unlocks for you the possibility of having the void version. Another good item, just to add something that's S tier, the brooch, Topaz brooch. The brooch is really great because it pretty much doubles your health simply by damaging some enemies. Yes, barrier is technically not health, and that makes it even better, because barrier simply adds extra damage that you can tank before getting one-shotted. Now, after a while, during a run, it will be useless. You get it once, you're already at 10% health with the one-shot protection. But for the first at least 4 stages, maybe even the first loop and a half, this thing will keep you alive as long as you keep killing enemies. You will never drop some health. And it even answers some challenges where you have to complete a level, complete a run, bring an item, maybe to unlock Rex, and you shouldn't drop below a certain level of health. Through the brooch, you actually can make it easier. So it's really great at what it does. Now, another S item, for me, it's the bullets. Simply because a flat 20% increase on damage on bosses is amazing. Normal enemies, they're gonna get one-shotted anyway after a while. Bosses don't. And this really helps, especially against the final boss, especially against Matrix, because aside from the extra damage that you deal to it, when he steals the item from you, it's not gonna give him any bonus, you're not a boss. So it only works against enemies and not against you, and this makes it incredibly valuable. Now let's go back with some items that are meh. I will say the armor plate, it's one of them. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Again, especially in early game, reducing damage. If you can find like 2 or 3 of them before stage 3, do it. Like, it will save your life a lot. But after a while, again, if the enemies deal to you 10-15 damage, you reduce the damage by 5, it's nice. If the enemies deal you like 1 million and you reduce the damage by 5, it doesn't matter. So it's like a cheaper version of the teddy bear that works better in early game, and then it incredibly falls off, becoming almost useless. Other item that's not bad, not good, it's like, maybe it should stay behind the bungus, is the ruby. Why? Because on some survivors, it's absolutely S tier. Let's just think about the mercenary, let's just think about loader, for example. This item is S tier, it's a flat increase on damage. But most survivors just try to stay far away from enemies. This item increases the damage you deal to enemies that are close to you, which means either you are forced to stay close to them, again, you're mercenary or loader, or you really don't gain any bonus from it and it's better to scrap it. For that reason, I put it in B tier. It's good on certain characters, like it's literally godlike, on others it's grinding material. But it's not healing, so it doesn't really help as much as the Bungus on characters where it's not that good. For that reason, it's behind the Bungus. Let's add something on A that was still empty. The Soldier Syringe. The syringe is really good. Like, it increases pretty much how good many of the survivors are. Not all of them. If we think about Acrid, if we think about Artificer, they don't really use attack speed. Because, you know, Artificer has to recharge her attacks anyway. And Acrid, well, most people just don't even use the auto attacks after a while. So it's not useful on any character. For that reason, it's not S tier. But on any other character, it's incredibly valuable. It increases damage and also increases the effect of other items that apply effects on it. And that's why it's A tier. Another A tier is the glasses, even before the syringe, honestly. Maybe could even be S tier. Let's put it S tier. The lowest of S tier. Why? Because if you can get 9 of them plus the 2 green items that gives crit, pretty much you have doubled every damage you do on any character, even if you don't use any auto attack, because this thing can make any kind of damage crit. So it's better than syringe, even if it does have a cap and cannot like be stacked infinitely. So yeah, it's good. Not the best one, but it's really good. Now, another thing that should be in S tier, maybe even below the glasses, let's put it on A tier, is the crowbar. Crowbar increases the damage that you deal on enemies that are about, above 90% health. It doesn't really help for the first 2 loops, at least. But, after a while, when you almost one-shot enemies, this thing will make you one-shot enemies, because, you know, if enemies have 100 health, and you always deal 80, 90 to them of that health, well, with the crowbar you're gonna deal like 99, 89, something like that. Get 2 or 3 crowbars and they're all dead instantly. So it's kinda good. It works on every character, but it only works when you're far ahead into the run. If you're the kind of person that just plays, reaches Matrix, beats Matrix, maybe goes to the Voidling and that's it, then the crowbar is not gonna help you much. It's even gonna be detrimental when Matrix steals it from you. Now let's go back on items that are not that good. The grenade, the stun grenade. I think it's better than the banner, because it's just an extra bonus when you're shooting. You might stun some enemies. But it's literally nothing else. It's not worth it at all. It's just scrapping material pretty much. Maybe you can keep one, but yeah, most of the time, scrapping material. Other thing that's good, but like not that good, it's a slug. The slug heals you when you are out of combat. This item is perfect if you have to run away from a fight and heal without staying still. So technically it should be a bit better than the Bungus, but it does heal more slower than the Bungus, and that's why I put it behind it. It's another healing item. Get 1 copy, get a couple of copies, and that's it. You don't really have to think about it. An item that instead is a bit better than all of these healing items is the medkit. You get dealt damage, after a few seconds, you gain some health back. As simple as that. Provided that you're playing decently good, it means you rarely get hit, and when you get hit, you heal after a bit. It's nothing special. It always have the downside if you get damaged twice and before you get healed the first time. It means you're just gonna get healed about the second hit and not the first one. Like the cooldown before it heals you gets refreshed, which is not good. Aside from that, it's pretty decent. And again, I think it's farther away than the Bungus towards the top because it can be used by anyone. It doesn't have to like stop, run away from a fight, nothing. Just don't get hit. Now let's go for something good. Movement speed. This is really good and needs to be S tier. Movement speed is fundamental and Gutsuv just makes you faster. That's it. Movement is fundamental in Risk of Rain Duel and you really need it. Especially on some characters that don't have mobility. If you're loader, you get them anyway because it increases your damage, but you don't really need them. If you're Acrid, if you're Artificer, if you're an engineer or any kind of character that's really slow, you really will need Gothoof. Same thing for the sprint here, but we will gonna put the soda can a bit behind because it only works when you're sprinting, which will be most of the time, but it's not always, and also after the first one you get lower bonuses than Gothoof. So Gothoof is gonna give you more bonuses after a while. Now, let's have a good item that we haven't put here, which is gasoline. Gasoline is extremely great. You eliminate one enemy, it explodes, and most enemies around it go poof too. As simple as that. It's just more damage. After you kill an enemy, more enemies die. That's it, full stop. It's not as good to be S tier, because there are better items than it. But it's good. And it can be applied from the first time you get it as the first time of your run, and it will help you a lot. That's why it's that high. Now we can go on something that's a bit weaker, the fireworks. Fireworks aren't bad, I think they can be in C tier, but they are not that amazing, honestly. So fireworks, they get pretty much activated every time you interact with something once you have it, and fireworks can shot in the air and they're gonna go against enemies. It does help with damage and stuff, but it's unreliable because either you keep some things aside to open them during the boss battle or you don't have to use it anyway, and you can't really decide which enemy they're gonna target. So it's extra damage, but it's like just pretty much I will consider it extra gold. You open a chest, maybe they're gonna kill an enemy or two and give you some extra gold to go for the next chest. That's how I consider it. Also, if you have a build that really has a lot of them or has other items that increase how many you shoot of them, it's gonna make your game lag a lot. So it's really not suggested in that case. Now, for the key is not bad. The key is not bad at all. I think it could be again like more, maybe higher than the ruby but lower than Bungus. What the keys does, it's simply once you have a key, a lockbox appears in the next level, and if you open it, it wastes the key to get you a green or red item. Pretty much it's a placeholder for a better rarity item. Now, it's a good thing, like you get a white and after a while you will get a green and a red, but those lockboxes are smaller than crates, harder to see, and you have to most often actively search for them. So I really wouldn't go print any of them because it wouldn't help much, honestly. Now for the sticky bomb is more than decent. That's why I will put it on top of B tier. But the sticky bomb has been nerfed. In the past, extra stacks of the sticky bomb will just add more sticky bombs. With the current build of the game, more stacks of sticky bomb simply will increase the chance of activating one, which doesn't really help after a bit. So once you get one or two of them, that's it. You have some extra damage, just ignore getting more because it's not needed. And the extra magazine, I think it can be maybe, yeah, above the syringe. an extra skill. On some characters it's really great, on other characters it's like meh. Still, it's an extra skill. It deals more damage than your auto attack, most probably. Why not? It's good. And this is it for the base game white items. Then we have a few white items from the Survivor of the Void DLC. Obviously, I will make this tier list again once we have the Seeker of the Storm DLC out. First one is Mocha, that I will put on low so I can see it better. Mocha is good. It's really good. I think we could put it again probably higher than Syringe, higher than Magazine. I don't know if higher than Crowbar. So Mocha is pretty much a fusion between the Syringe and Gottooth and cut in half. Let's round out the numbers a bit. They are not exactly the numbers, but Mocha gives you around 7%, if I'm not wrong, movement speed and 7% attack speed. The Syringe gives you 12 attack speed, the Gottooth 12 movement speed. Pretty much in one item you get 15% of bonuses. It's slightly better than half Syringe and half Gottooth. Get two of them, it's better than one Syringe and one Gottooth in a single item. So it's really good for me. Attack speed and movement speed. It's good. It's really good. Then we have the watch. The watch, let's put it there for now. I'm really not into it. Like, it's a flat 20% extra damage, which is great, and that's why it will be above the sticky bombs. But get under 20% health once, and the watch breaks, and that's it. You can only scrap it. It doesn't have any other utility and loses its bonus. So it's really not that good for early game, and for late game, I mean, 20% extra damage is good, but meh. Honestly, I don't like this kind of items. And we have another similar item, a healing version this time, that it's not bad. It's really not bad. I think it can stay at the end of A tier. What it does, it's when your life goes below a certain percentage, it breaks again and heals you. So after it you can scrap it again, but what's good, it's literally doesn't activate unless you're in danger pretty much of losing the run, which that's what it makes it great. It literally saves you, so it's good. It's not perfect, because if there is a damage that's gonna wipe out your whole health, this thing is not gonna save you. But if there is a damage that will leave you really low in the middle of a swarm of enemies, this thing might save you, and that's why it's there. Then we have this little coin pouch, which many people really put low, but honestly, I think it's an incredibly good item, especially in a specific situation. What it does is every time you get it, you gain money. Now, some of you might think, wait, isn't the whole purpose of Risk of Rain Do It to not get hit? Like in Risk of Rain 2, you really don't want to get hit. Yes, but at the start of the game, you will get hurt. That's for sure. It's almost impossible to not get hit. And this thing will help you a lot, because at the start of the game, you can get hit many times before actually losing. And this thing will give you gold that at the start of the game is really valuable. Also, as I said, there is a specific situation that gives you a lot of gold. If your character is set on fire by a fire elite enemy, every tick of damage that the fire is gonna give you, which is a really low damage and it happens frequently for a bit, it's gonna give you gold. So get set on fire twice, maybe even on purpose if you have enough healing already, and you can make a lot of money in the early stages of the game and open way more crates, wasting way more time. The easier thing that I'm thinking about will be to use it in the 4th stage, the hell level, where there is a red chest that's guaranteed. Just get set on fire 3 or 4 times and you can already open the legendary chest without having to farm a long time, and this is what makes this item really great. Then I think at the second loop it starts to get useless, because you really don't want to get hit or you will get one-shotted. And you really don't need money anymore, because you just kill a couple of enemies and entire map gets wiped out. So yeah, it's really good to make runs more consistent and more easy. That's why it's that high up on my tier list. After that we have the opal, which pretty much reduces a lot of damages that you get the first hit. It's like a temporary shield that doesn't block damage, just reduces it a lot. It's good, not as good as blocking damage completely, but for sure it's good. Now the problem is that the more you have will not give you more protection. Like if you have 3, it will not protect you for 3 hits. It's still for 1. That's why it's not as high as a teddy bear on my tier list. But that doesn't mean it's bad. That means it's good. Real good. Then we have one last white item, which is not really an item, but we can consider it. And it's the scrap. I think we can put in C tier. The scrap is pretty much the result of when you put an item in the grinder and you get this item back. This thing, how it works, is that when you're gonna use a 3D printer or you're gonna use those cauldrons that ask, I don't know, for 5 whites to get 1 green, if you have one of the, or more of these scraps in your inventory, they're gonna be used before any other item. Which means you can use a grinder to scrap the items you don't need. Let's say you scrap 5 items that you don't need. Then you can go in a cauldron inside a blue portal, use it to get the green item, and the first 5 whites that will get used from your inventory will be the scraps, even if you have other items. And that makes it really great to just throw away items that you don't need to guarantee getting good items that you might need for 3D printers, scrappers, and more. So it's good. It's not amazing because it doesn't have any effect aside of that. It doesn't do anything to your character, but it's good. It's really damn good. The white one will only give you, again, either a green through a blue portal and you give away a lot of them, or it will give you another white on a 3D printer. So it's not that good. But higher tier ones, as we'll see in other tier lists, they will be really good. And that's pretty much it. This is my white items tier list for Risk of Rain 2. Link in the description for this tier list in case you guys want to make another one. And well, we'll see each other in another video.